got the Vision Tower elite right here. We got Sean. We got WAZ, who just left, but I was fortunate enough to meet WAZ at the event in DC. He was the man. We clicked up. We had a great time down there before, things started getting crazy. Completely peaceful environment. And dude, like right after that speech ended, literally right after, the Capitol was broken into, meaning that people left that speech early to go get in there.
Or they were already there. They didn't even go to the speech and just went there. That's what I'd assume.
I was watching Alex Jones a couple days ago, and so he was kind of breaking that down. So he paid for that stage. I don't know if you guys are aware, the stage where Trump spoke. So as far as I understand it, InfoWars popped for that whole setup, all the audio and everything in the stage. And then I don't know if they had coordinated like through Roger Stone or what it was, but the Trump showed up late to that speech, supposedly intentionally to hold back as many people from going to the Capitol with the rest of the riffraff, I guess.
That makes sense because I saw a video of him in a tent with that red folder, meaning that he was there before. Because remember how long we were waiting was? We were like, where the hell is Trump?
I remember even while we were there, it was probably about 11:30 or so. We're wondering where he is. And my dad calls me and he's like, yeah, Trump's driving in. The motorcade's coming in. And even after that, when he was already there, it was still there.
It was like 45 minutes after you said that. It was like 45 minutes after you said that. And it was also kind of sketchy that SWAT car that I hypothetically might have been on right in front of the Capitol building was Alex Jones's. Like, how did he get that parked right up there?
Yeah.
And the Viking dude, I hypothetically may have gotten pictures with him too. After we left that speech and we went back to our hotels, and it was like, I don't know, 40 minutes before, no, it was probably like an hour before we got to the Capitol. Like, people were already inside. And by the time we got there, that Viking dude was out front. And,
Q Shaman?
Yeah, I saw him. He was by himself with no shirt. It was freezing. And I was like, I pointed to him. I was like, Steve, that's the guy. He's blowing up online. Because I was on Twitter and I was like, we have to get down there. I talked to him. I was like, dude, you're blowing up online right now. And he looked so excited. He was by himself. I don't know. The whole thing was sketchy. The videos I saw that people got in the back, it wasn't even the front.
So as far as I understand about Q Shaman, so he would go out to the BLM rallies, he was at a number of protests over the last year, always in the same, get up, and he would just like talk shit and drop truth bombs. Like, he was never causing a problem or anything. He was just, megaphoning the crowds, walking by himself, holding Q signs. There was a lot of question around him leading like an environmental chant of some sort. And I'm like, that doesn't mean anything. Like, there are a bunch of freaks that follow Q, so that's like his shtick, that's his thing. And so he also has, was it Yellow Wolf? I don't know. I don't want to.
I saw his Rumble.
Drop his channel or whatever.
His Rumble.
Yeah. So he's been doing that shit for a long time too. I didn't make the connection. So Alex Brand, who's in the Vision Tower, he would go out by himself also to like kind of canvas all these people and, get the temperature on everything. I think he was doing it for a company, but he was at a number of protests over the summer. And so he ran into that dude, I think on at least one occasion, got, some footage with him and stuff. And so he was always under the impression that the dude was like legit, like totally
he's legit.
Cool.
And I went on like my Idols podcast and like kind of trashed him and got like kind of ratioed in the comments. And I felt bad, but that was like the narrative at the time. And it was weird to me because he was, popping off and he got all these perfect photo ops. But I'm convinced, and maybe WAZ is a different theory, but like, I think they were kind of let in and like, they weren't like Antifa members, but maybe they weren't the smartest MAGA people,
Good.
I was gonna say, I think it'd be just like dumb to believe that no Trump supporters took part in this and it was all Antifa. Like,
Oh yeah.
we both know how the pitchfork mentality works. It's a contagious thing. People's emotions are high. I don't know if you guys have, but I've seen the videos where there's the guy with the bat breaking the windows and they're yelling, "No Antifa, no Antifa," and then you see the Trump supporters tackle the guy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's the kind of stuff the media is not going to show you either right now. So
yeah, so that's a good point. I think just reasonably, like as reasonable of a perspective as you can have, like obviously, you know, we've got preferences on how we would like things to go down. That's not, we're kind of past the Rubicon at this point, right? So no matter what happens, even if the military, that's the only way anything would happen, is if the military, you know, kind of fired the first shot, right? They said, we know what went down, and he needs a majority of those people. Like, he needs enough people with enough intelligence and enough guns and enough balls. And they say, sir, you are going to be the president, and that's just the way it's going to be. But like, so even if that happened, there's just this whole fucking slew of problems that would arise from it. You know, it's you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, right? There's no easy way or good way out of this thing at this point. It's we're past that. We have our preferences, but looking at it reasonably and rationally, you're like, okay, well, I mean, it's fucking stupid. You know, like I don't know what people really thought was going to happen. And Alex, you guys showed how easy it was to just fucking roll up there, and that dude, that heavy set dude that turns around and gives you guys the figure revolution or whatever. That guy needs to become a meme immediately.
I know. Dude, there's like, Tim Dillon was like making memes out of my pictures and shit. It was crazy. But yeah, he on his Instagram, he like keeps using that crazy chick. But yeah, it was so easy to get right up there. But Waz and I were talking today, and that Trump speech that he gave, did you see that? Did you see his body language? Like, that was a concession.
Oh, you mean leading up to? Are you talking about leading up to the event at the Capitol, or are you talking about after?
The speech today. He gave a speech at 3 p.m. at the Alamo today, and he was referencing the next administration and stuff. And he did say some weird stuff.
He mentioned Biden too. This time is the first time that I've heard him ever say the next Biden administration.
Yeah.
And
but I thought about this after the speech, because I was feeling a little demoralized about it. But let's just say the rumors are true about the deep state having these dirty bombs, and Trump needs to concede in some way. Who knows if this could all be antics too? I hate to backpedal, because I feel like we're waiting for these arrests, and then something that doesn't go our way happens, and we say, "Oh well, that was part of the plan."
Right,
I'm growing tired of saying this is part of the plan. This is part of the plan. Like, where's the part of the plan where we start to win some of these?
Yeah. Where's the part of the plan where all of the stuff comes true, or any of it?
Q could have been a whole psyop. They tell us to trust the plan. Don't do anything. Trust the plan. And in reality, we are the plan. If we want to do anything, it's us. And that might have been like the most sophisticated psyop ever, with some troops and some truth sprinkled in. And that's what the CIA is best at, is they will sprinkle in truth with fiction just to muddy up everything, you know?
So this this is my take on Q. Is I put out a video in the Vision Tower yesterday or the day before. I think you watched it, Andy. So you think of these factions as like football teams, right? And you know, Trump is like the head coach, and then you've got, you know, your quarterback and your linesmen and receivers, and you know, the whole offensive line. And let's say you start the game like, we're gonna fucking clean the clocks, these motherfuckers. There's no two ways about it. You know, you just ultimate confidence. And as the game goes on, things aren't playing out. You know, none of your plays are landing, and so the team begins to get demoralized. Well, the head coach and the quarterback are going to be working together to keep the morale high, right? So never is the head coach going to go out there and say, dude, we're fucked, like, or I mean, yeah, neither the quarterback or the coach or anybody is going to go, oh, we're fucked. Their responsibility is to say, no, we're going to start running harder and harder plays. Here's some Hail Marys, like let's just get this thing done. All the way up to the finish, they're going to play their hardest, right? So looking at it from that perspective, like I believe, well, so I was a Jones guy, MAGA, like a year and a half. Well, I've been following Jones for a very long time, and a lot of conspiracy theory and all that stuff way before that. But Jones was definitely the dude that kind of like greased the skids as far as paying attention to Trump. And, I didn't care about him at all before that. And then I started watching him, and I'm like, dude, this guy's like taking on Jeb Bush, and he literally fucking stomped these dudes. I remember I was in California at my mom's house about a year before, and there was an LA Times on the table, and I just went down to read through, what kind of bullshit they were talking about. And they were already projecting Hillary Clinton and Jeb Bush as the front runners, and as all the predictive programming was going down, right? So I think that there was an intention on behalf of the establishment, and I do believe that Trump fucking commandeered the vehicle and we stomped him, right? And that's why they freaked out about Russia and all that stuff. I mean, that's all simple stuff, right? But Q showed up shortly after, I guess towards the
October
end of 2017. Yeah, and I saw it immediately. Like I'm jacked into all those matrices, and I'm like, I can't do it, dude. I can't take this shit. Like there's no way I'm gonna throw myself into this, rabbit hole. I'm not gonna do it. So I stuck with Jones as kind of like the primary source of information, and was, paying attention to Stefan Molyneux and the alt-right and all this stuff, right? And I saw like the way the alt-right was like splintering, and then alt-light showing up, and like then there was this kind of interfactional warfare going on the right, and I saw like how easily it was for, well, I mean, Richard Spencer and Ramsey Paul and all these guys, Red Ice Creations, they were the momentum behind the alt-right, and I loved it, and it was great. And then like you started to see more and more of this fucking weird shit, this weird Nazi shit, and the ethno-nats and all this stuff kind of arising in it. And I'm like, dude, I've already done that. I did that so long ago that, that was like kid shit for me. And I'm like, I can't be a part of this, dude. So like all you were really left with was Paul Joseph Watson and Jones and then Roger Stone and just MAGA in general, right? And it was Luke Brown. I hope he doesn't mind me saying his name, but he's like, dude, he's like, you gotta pay attention to this shit. Like, he's like, I have complete confidence that this is real. And so he would just stuff that shit my way, just constantly behind the scenes. I don't know if you guys know anything about Luke Brown, but he's like OG visionary artist, like part of the, he's like the generation right below Alex Gray, and he's like a shaman among shamans, very well known in the festival community and in the visionary art scene. But he's like kind of behind the scenes, like he's not really outspoken, or he's an incredible dude, just a very fine guy. And he's like, bro, you got to pay attention to this shit, dude. Just keep your eyes on it, like watch it. I have full confidence in this stuff. And so I started feeding stuff to Tiffany, and then she, my wife, and she went off on her own thing, and then she was feeding me this stuff, and there was kind of this feedback loop that started to where I'm like, I don't know. I mean, why wouldn't it be true? Like here we are, we're looking at the advent of the New World Order. I knew this was coming for like 20 years. Like, why wouldn't there be a resistance to it? Why wouldn't it be a real thing? Why wouldn't there be people who know all the shit that's gone on? And now we have a president who's fucking, bad to the bone. Like, he just does not give a fuck. Like, okay, he's compromised. Okay, he's not compromised. Okay, he's compromised. You're like, holy shit, he's a piece of shit. Like, oh, but he's awesome at the same time. Trump is kind of like all of the things that we needed. And I think that was the thing that made me the most suspicious, is like, this guy, he's like a reformed, asshole, and I believe that he really cares. And it's like he's talking about 9/11, he's talking about 28 pages, and he's fucking stuffing it to the Bush family and stuffing it to the Clintons, like just in everybody's faces. And he's going after the media, and it was like too good to be true. And then cue this persistent, leak of what's going on behind the scenes. Following it for about 2 years, I realized that like this shit is real. Whoever this is, they're real. They're right there. They're with Trump, and it's a team of dudes, probably like 10 or 12 dudes. And, maybe there's some chicks, I don't know too, but like, it's definitely a team of people, and they definitely have military level intelligence, and they're definitely very close to Trump. And that is what I came across with. Now, I don't know if that's like Brad Parscale's like ingenuity and just understood how to capitalize upon all of the conspiracy sentiments of the right, and distrusting the establishment. Like they just picked up on all this shit and they ran with it. I don't know, but like the idea was that the military has been watching what's been going on, and like the FISA abuse is real. All that shit that Q was putting out about the FISA courts, all that shit's real. The spying, all of that's real. Rarely would Q drop something about like adrenochrome or like pay attention to this thing over here, but for the most part, almost exclusively, it was about corruption within the Democratic Party, selling the country out, and the FISA abuses that happened to Trump, right? And then the anons that were built around that thing, they're trying to explain away all of these missed dates and all this stuff with Project Looking Glass and it was Q looking into the future, and and then there's like the Last President book and all these things that like
Q is AI.
Yeah, it makes Trump look like he's some type of fucking time traveler. I mean, it's just crazy stuff. But there was like this real kernel of like truth and beauty, and so I think it was just a team that lost.
Well, let me just say this real quick. In the beginning, I personally think the original Q on 4chan wasn't the same Q on 8chan. And there's been analytics that show, and you could see that the way they type and the way that, and I noticed a shift. They just started sharing pictures, and the drops didn't seem as authentic, and something wasn't just in my soul. I was like, something happened. This isn't the same person. I wasn't the only one who said that. I heard it on multiple different podcasts. Something felt fishy. It was weird. It was like a boomer took it over instead of like multi-intelligence officers,
That's interesting. I look at it the opposite way. I think the initial Q drops are bullshit, and somebody picked up on that and they turned it into something real. So I think that because like Q's first drop is we have Hillary Clinton, she's on her way, she's in handcuffs.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that's what all of the opposition to Q, they always point back to those early fucking total like just garbage drops of information. So I do believe that there was some type of shift there, but I think that it actually went the opposite direction. Like it started as somebody shilling some bullshit and everybody lapping it up because they wanted it so bad, and then I think that they picked up on it and turned it into something that actually had some meaning.
Well, the first person that was writing was
Hey, let me interrupt real quick. Pence formally wrote a letter to Pelosi saying he will not invoke the 25th Amendment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know
kind
why
of expected, but yeah.
He already
I don't know why he would.
He already committed political suicide.
Yeah.
He's done.
Yeah.
No, that was part of the plan.
Just trust.
I don't know, Waz, what do you think, man?
I mean, I have not dived as deep into this as you guys have, but I mean, the stuff's believable. A lot of it plays out, but I don't know. Like I said, you got to take this stuff with a grain of salt. When you get too far down the rabbit hole on it, your head's going to start spinning, and it's kind of unhealthy to just try to predict this future by any means. I think like you got to always just take what the present moment gives you and assess it from there.
We lost.
It's interesting to look into.
Yeah. We lost. I mean, there's no like big fucking deal. I think all of this fear about like the total end of the country and everything, dude, it's gonna ramp up, but like we've been on this path for a long way. Like Trump kind of took us down a fucking, you know, a rabbit trail out into the forest, and like they're just gonna course correct and get us right back on that agenda. And like, you know, it was fun, but honestly, man, like, you know, I know all you guys have varying degrees of faith in God and everything. I mean, that's really like what it comes down to, you know. And if we stay in tune with that, you know, it's easier to see like Trump is not going to save anything. He wasn't here to save us. Like it was, we did the most that we could. We did the best that we could. And when we were inspired and called to show up and get on the field, we fucking did. And we went as hard as we could about it. And then, you know, and it's like, and we lost it. I mean, you know, it's, and what kind of loss is it anyway? You know, to a bunch of people that fucking stacked the deck in their favor, you know.
And that's what I was going to say. It just burnt a little more because they cheated. But Trump does have, and this is the thing people are expecting to be saved. And he did have that archetypal hero's journey where it's like David versus Goliath. And, you know, he's going to save the day, and everything was pointing towards he was going to save the day. But in the end, it's like reading a really good book that just kind of, it's like Game of Thrones. It's like the last season. It's like, you know, what the fuck is this? You know?
But you got to go home. You got to walk out of the theater, you know? Like,
yeah. That just brought up a good point. He appointed some good Supreme Court justices, and that'll live on past his term.
Mm-hmm.
Well put.
He's done a lot of good shit.
I just
Stuff
hope
that will be hard to undo.
Okay. Yeah. I was just gonna say, I hope they don't undo everything that he's done.
Well, so what
Joe Biden could spend the next 4 years trying to fucking undo all that shit, and he won't even come close. Trump has like all the stuff that we know about on the surface, like that is like, you know, 4 decades worth of work. I mean, he had a lot of people on his team, and he you know, he had the support of the military. That's how he got Lindsey Graham to fucking shill for him, and that's how he got fucking Mitch McConnell to shill for him. Like the dude had a bunch of loyalty, and he made some extraordinary headway. I mean, it's not just going to go down the drain, you know, immediately. Like we've got a lot of good time, and the sun's still rising, man. So go ahead, Andy. Sorry to cut you off, man.
No, you're good. I was gonna ask. So I feel like I'm always on this emotional roller coaster with Trump. Like I have my heart ripped out of me, and then there's like this little weird thing that happens. Like today we were all upset about the way this speech went down, and that it kind of seemed like Trump was throwing in the towel. And then within like a half hour, I'm seeing, oh, now Iran's having power blackouts. And it's like, is this just all coincidence, or is there something still brewing here? I'm not sure, but it's just another example of the Trump roller coaster we've all been riding lately.
Yeah, we won't know the true impact of Trump's presidency until, you know, it comes into like fullness, right? Like this was like 4 years to fucking plant a seed, you know, and we don't know what comes from here. What we don't want to do is act like the answer is like a violent revolution or something.
No,
that's the way you get killed, right? Like, you know, we got to just go. In some way, you do kind of have to trust the plan, but it's not like that. It's like we did some stuff, dude. Like things are different. There has been a lot of change. There's been a lot of significant change. I mean, there's 450 miles of fucking border wall, bro. That doesn't mean that they're not going to use it to keep us in, you know, but like that's massive. You know, he did a lot of stuff that did a lot of good for a lot of people. And, you know, it's like 20/20 hindsight. We'll get down the road and people will be like, damn, that was our last best chance at dangerous freedom, you know, and we'll see it. We'll see it eventually.
I think also just like the whole Trump journey was just like empowering to so many people, and whether Trump's here or not, you're not going to rip that from these people who for once felt that their voice mattered.
Yeah, that's right.
Even you could steal the election and make our voice not matter. Yep. but we still know that we lit a fire under these people's asses. You can see how scared they are, how they're pushing for impeachment, whether it's because they think they're coming at him now, or whether it's because they don't want him to run again in 4 years. You can make that decision yourself, but they're scared. There's one way or the other. They're scared of the way Trump empowered the people.
Oh, the old man. You guys sound
Mr. WAZ.
Yeah, and I'm not as big on like, all the deep state stuff and all that, but you can see easily over half the country supports Trump, and they're passionate about it, and it's good to see some good, passionate, conservative values that are finally being put forward.
Yeah,
and
he definitely restored a sense of identity. He provided a space where people, we've invented a culture essentially,
Obama killed that.
Yeah.
Killed that patriotism.
The thing I couldn't stand with Obama is when he actually blocked off like World War II memorials so the veterans couldn't even go see that one. That one hurt me deep inside. That's when I said, this is it. Something has to get done.
Yeah, he's a fucker.
And more people need that kind of tipping point where they have an awakening and see that. See how evil the left is on a lot of their views.
Yeah,
well, the censorship is gonna do it, man.
The censorship is the most scary thing.
I just not what they do report, it's what they don't report. That's what's scary.
I just saw Twitter made a post today. I'll read it. It said, okay, thanks, Ed. It said ahead of the Ugandan election, we're hearing reports that internet service providers are being ordered to block social media and messaging apps. We strongly condemn internet shutdowns. They are hugely harmful, violate basic human rights, and the principle of an open internet.
They're just trolling at this point. They're just trolling us. Like Uganda, like really, dude? Come on, man.
So all right, you guys know Hotep Jesus, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Hotep Jesus, you've seen him around. He's been on
Joe
Alex
Rogan.
Jones and Joe Rogan. Yeah. He's a good-looking black dude, like red pilled. So he, all right. I think, despite some of the weird, ideas that he's come up with over the years, like he's a great indicator, or no, he's an example of an empowered black man, right? Like, so I found out about him through Red Eyes Creations, which was, that was completely alt-right, like revisionist history, and like only like 200,000 Jews died in World War II, like that type of stuff, right? So Hotep Jesus was on Henrik's show, and Henrik was asking him, he's like, what do you think? He's like, how much of the alt-right do you think is racist? How much, what do you think it's all about? And he's like, I say about like 60% of it's racist. He's like, the other 40% are just like, fuck the man. And, but he never at any point was he like offended that, the alt-right was racist. He was like, yeah, this is fucking what they are. And, like, I'm just about my business. I'm gonna get money. And, he did not care whatsoever about any of the racism. He just fucking trolled them, sometimes like work with them, and that's an example of kind of, I think, the future of our ideals, right? Like getting over ourselves and how, poorly we think we've been treated and all this stuff. And just like, this is the reality of the situation. Here's what things are. And then this is how I interact with this reality.
I got a question for you guys. Now that Trump is gone and the scapegoat is gone, and like you were saying, the whole victim mentality thing might escape with it, because I know so many people of color that have like kind of gotten red pilled, and you can see it through increased levels of Hispanic and African American voting. What do you think is the path going forward? Because now, without the straw man there, their narrative is going to crumble, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, their whole narrative is going to be a rebuild right now. That's what it's going to be. Absolutely. And without, hopefully Trump is still extremely vocal, because otherwise there's no real man leading the fight against the destruction of reality.
Yeah.
You're okay. All right. Here's what it is, Andy, on that point. It's a good point. Now, so I was watching Styx Hexenhammer earlier, and he's, he deleted his Twitter account or something. And he's finding out that a bunch of like the leftists that would always troll him are like trying to bait him to get him back to Twitter, and so he's pointing out, he's like, look, dude, when everybody leaves, you know, they're not going to have anything to do. They're addicted to like inflicting pain on you and making you answer and apologize for shit, right? So this is why all of this stuff plays into this idea, like roll with the punches. Trump will disperse into a million shining stars, man. Like, you know, it's not even, it never was about him. He made it all about him. He's like the sun, you know, he's like a sun god, as opposed to this kind of distributed leadership system of the Democrats, right? You know, Joe Biden's a fucking potato. You know, he's a sock puppet. Then you're like, oh, it's because Kamala Harris is going to come in. You're like, dude, well, she's a sock puppet of the tech companies and fucking whoever else. You're like, is it Pelosi that's in power? Is it Bernie Sanders? It's like, you know, it's their leadership system is distributed, and that's why we inherently don't trust it, right? So they projected all of that onto Trump. You can't trust anything he's doing, and you know, but it was just hate at one man, vitriol, and then they figured out to like, oh, now we need to put his supporters on lists, you know, and all this stuff. So he was like this attractor, this like graviton, you know, of a man, and he focused all of our ideas on what he was doing, how he felt, what he was saying to the public at, you know, at any given time, how many tweets he was making, how many were false, you know. It was just this obsession across the board. And now what we're looking at is this distribution of power to where you don't know who's actually leading the country. So you're not going to know if it's the CCP. You're not going to know if the military's been given over. You're not going to know if it's Kamala Harris waiting in the wings. You don't know if Joe Biden's going to fucking croak or they're going to push him down the stairs or whatever. You don't know if Antifa is there to fucking serve George Soros or to serve the Democrats, or, you know, they're going to be the next to be axed from Twitter. You know, like, that's the situation that we're actually dealing with, is complete uncertainty. So our best bet is to now look at what it is, and you take everything that you've learned for over the last 4 years and apply it now to this new situation. Like, how about this? Like, I've been assimilated. I'm all for censorship now. I will be reporting anybody that fucking threatens a federal building in Portland, Oregon. I will be fucking tracking, you know, with my 12 fake accounts, any Antifa member or Black Lives Matter that threatens any federal institution, and I will applaud. And then when you come after me, I will totally accept it, because I'm looking forward to giving up this fucking asshole over here who fucks with me on Facebook, right? Like there's no shortage of comedy at this point, right?
There isn't.
It's we're living in fucking absurdity and la la land, and it's just go with it. Make it the fucking most awesome shit you can make it.
I had someone send in pictures of me to the FBI on Alex Jones's SWAT car, and they were like, "You were on top of federal property taking pictures," and I was like, I just went off. I was like, first of all, that's Alex Jones's SWAT car, so you're sticking. I was like, are you defending Sandy hoax allegations? And I just turned it around on him. I'm like, go ahead, dude. I recorded the whole fucking thing. I didn't do anything. I just was trying to make a funny day out of it, you know? There's no shortage of these people. They want to see the world burn. And now that Trump is gone, they're just going to be highlighted even more, because the boogeyman is gone. And so many people are waking up. Don't believe the media. We have way more numbers than them. Way more.
Yeah. You know, how, like, I'll ask both of you this question. Alex, you first. How many people did you meet? Well, I guess it's like multi-pronged. How many people did you meet that you were like, this guy's a fucking idiot? How many people did you meet that, like, you're like, this guy's on a mission and I don't want to be in his way? And how many people did you meet that were authentic?
I'd say 80 to 85% were authentic. There was a couple people that I was like, okay, you are definitely part of a militia, like maybe a few. And then there was like that fat kid. There was some people that were just total clowns, and those were the ones who were disproportionately in the Capitol building, where I was like, okay.
So whose house? Our house. I mean, yeah, but not for long.
Yeah, I know. That was weird.
What about you, Andy?
Were you referencing the event or the entire during this whole movement?
I don't know. I guess let's go.
I did the event.
No. Yeah, the event. Yeah, let's go with the event. So how many people were idiots? How many people were like, you know, you could tell they were on a mission or vicious? And then how many people did you meet that were like genuinely cool people?
I would say probably somewhere between 80 and 90% were cool. But then the day prior to the speech, I was actually walking somewhere around DC, and there are these guys with these Rambo Trump flags or whatever. And me and my buddy, we stopped by. We're like, "Hey, we like your flag," and they're like, "Do you really like the flag?" Like you could. There's some Southerners. They looked like they were on meth, and it's like. And as soon as we walked away, I told my buddy I was with. I was like, after all the cool people we met here today, I guarantee you the media is going to go and interview that guy right there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that's kind of the stereotypical thing they do to make all Trump supporters look racist, make them all look like Southern hillbillies. I mean, look at how many photos have you seen from the media that focused on that Confederate flag that was inside of the Capitol building? And if you watch any of the videos that these guys took while we were at the speech, full panorama views.
You don't see one.
Not a single Confederate flag you see flying out there. Not a one.
Yeah.
That Confederate flag was definitely placed inside the Capitol building.
Yep.
Yeah, they're talking about people with Nazi armbands or swastika armbands and shit. I'm like, I didn't see that. I mean, I imagine they're probably there, but
it was just convenient that all the people in the Capitol building were really racist or looked really aesthetically like a joke, and that wasn't what I experienced. I did like a bunch of interviews, and they were mostly just fucking like boomers that would just want to save the country. They
we got an NBA player there.
yeah, Fred.
Yeah, Fred Roberts.
Fred Roberts.
He was the man. Oh, actually, you know what? That one lady from Jersey, like, I need to find her.
I saw you tag that one feminist on Twitter, AJ.
Yeah. I was, oh my God, I've been going hard on the trolling. I'm probably going to get banned. But
took me a minute to figure out what was going on, because I went there. I'm like, you don't really think that's her, do you?
Well, when Tim Dillon retweeted it, all the people commenting were like, "Is this her?" And I went to her profile, and she's a comedian, but it's all political jokes, obviously. So I was trying to like start a hashtag to cancel her, saying she was there, and I was commenting like, underneath like the Daily Show interviewing Hillary Clinton. I'm like, hey, my friend here is a big fan. She's talking to me here about gender studies, and I'm just trying to get eyeballs on it.
Bro, that's the key, dude. From here out, like, both you guys are completely capable of it. I mean, it's just finding those opportunities to like make people wig out, pushing all of the buttons, like, and making the system fry. Like, that's where we're at right now. There are a million ways to do that are completely legal. Nobody could ever say shit about you doing it. And that's where we're at right now. They're going to get comfortable. All the Antifa dudes that I interact with are like fucking company men now. It's just like applauding this shit. Like they love the fact that Orange Man Bad's been fucking slaughtered, and Joe Biden is like, hey, well, at least it's not him. I'm like, dude, yeah, you're like, it's like fakery, it's your revolution concept is no different than any of this shit. They're all like, oh my God, did you see how this cop was brained and all this stuff? And I'm like, why are you not applauding that? Aren't you a fucking, vigilante, dude? Like, aren't you just, so edgy that you don't give a fuck about anything? I mean, you should have been there with them. Oh wait, you were, and then it's like, oh man, was it a real revolution, or was it Antifa that started it? Well, it's both, dude. Like, they knew what was coming. Antifa was definitely there, like, provably so, and that does not alleviate the responsibility from MAGA that was there clearly. Nobody's like putting all of the shit onto Antifa or anything, but they were there, and that's okay to admit. Like, they mix themselves in. Their whole thing is about deceiving. It's all about like working under the guise of something that they're not, and that's the way that they're going to operate in the future. They're going to continue to do that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I actually met a guy who was dressed up as a Trump supporter down outside our hotel, I'm 99.9% sure he's Antifa.
Really?
Yeah, so we were walking back from like getting food or something on what would have been Thursday, the day after. And there's this dude out there. He looks like a homeless man, hippie type dude, San Francisco, Seattle type guy. And he's standing outside. He's got all his Trump clothes on, and he asks our buddy, he's got a backpack on. He asks my buddy, he's like, "You got a lighter?" He's like, "Yeah." And he goes, "I like your shirt, man." And the guy looks down, like not even like realizing what shirt he wore, and he's like, "Oh yeah." And then the next question he asks us, he's like, "So what'd you think of that?" He's all amped up. He's like, "What'd you think of that up at the Capitol yesterday? Pretty fucking wild, right?" And he's like, "That was awesome." And I'm like, I feel like it's kind of giving us a bad look right now. Like, this isn't what we're here for. And he was just absolutely disgusted with me. He's like looking at me like that, and then he goes, "Groupism is a powerful thing." Like, groupism. I've never heard anyone on the right use the word.
That's straight commie talk.
And then just to seal the deal on it, after I was like kind of walked past him, I looked at his backpack. His backpack's open. The dude's got like a war helmet in there and all this gear. And on top of the helmet was distinctively this bright blaze orange little square of tape on the top. Almost so if a riot would ensue, you could kind of point out of the crowd who's with you and who's not.
No shit.
For sure.
I'm noticing, can I say
Hop
something
in
real quick?
Yeah.
That Antifa, I'm noticing, and what's funny is it's really ironic because they call themselves anti-fascism, right? There's a lot of similarities to that in the early days of the Hitler Socialist Party.
Mm-hmm.
That's or communist.
They were socialists, national socialists.
Yeah, national socialists, and they like what do they call them, the brown shirts and all those guys. They started that, and it was very violent and just slow. And there's a lot of similarities between that and what those Hitler Youth people did, not the Hitler Youth, but the early days of Hitler. And it's scary. That scares me to see that.
Yeah, they're scary, man. And you know what? Like, there was a big security concern every time I went down there. They were like, "Oh my God, is Antifa gonna ambush us?" I'm like, "There's like 1 million of us here. If they come out, they're like gremlins. They come out after midnight and they do stuff, you know." And but this time I did see, and I was getting comments on Twitter from people saying like, "Oh, you'll see me there. I'm gonna be dressed in all MAGA stuff, spraying mace in the air," and they were definitely there.
Backwards MAGA hats. Yeah. What'd you say?
Antifa is real well financed, and I don't know who.
George Soros is behind it.
Globalists. They want to see the destruction of capitalism, and they want to see a one world government in two different classes, a poor class and an elite class. And these are their pawns that, a lot of these people are just low IQ, or they haven't really done much, and they think their hearts are kind of in the right place. They honestly think they're doing the right thing. They just don't study history, and they're really not that smart.
They're being used as a pawn, basically.
I think that goes for a lot of the MAGA movement too, right? Like the mass of the constituents, like when you're telling people to do your research and that type of thing, it's like there are a lot of very sophisticated people who are conservatives, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of just extremely like golden-hearted people, and then you do have this flyover country base that, like, a lot of them don't know their ass from their elbow. I mean, that's the truth, right? And then what the left tries to do is make all of the people who support Trump like answer to the fact that you're low IQ, and you're like, dude, I mean, I'm not trying to brag or toot my own horn or anything, but like you're a dummy, it's distributed across both wings. I mean, the left prides themselves on their education and their insight into, how the thing really works. And they've got this history of being anti-establishment. And it's like they're still riding on their successes and their laurels from the past. And they're not willing to reflect on who they are in the moment. And so I think we got to take a a page out of that book, that criticism, and really pay attention to where we're at. Like, what do we really want? You know, we want our families to be left alone. We want to have the right to say no, you know, to you know, mandated anything. We want the country to remain free, and we want that for everybody, you know.
How do you convert that into votes, though? How do you portray that to them? Because right now, most of these people that are vote Democrat that I know, they're getting their news from the late night comedy shows.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my God, no.
Absolutely.
And it's pathetic, and they just and they believe it. They believe it.
Yeah. Well, see, so I guess that's the point that I mean. Like, I totally agree with you, you know, and then on our side, like, what the left says about us is like, they dismiss, you know, our information sources just out of hand. It doesn't matter if it's Fox News or Breitbart or Alex Jones or Q, but like anything we bring to the table, it's the same shit. You come with a New York Times source, like that's a valid source of information. And we're like, bullshit, I'm not fucking reading that thing. You know, like, so in a lot of ways, we're just like, what do you say?
Wall Builders, David Barton's Wall Builders. It's a Christian base, but it's really good. It's they're
Nice.
really good.
Oh,
Yeah,
check it out.
It's
Check it out.
a podcast or whatever.
Fantastic.
Wall Builders Live. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I guess the point is that, like, you know, we're doing the same thing. We're like mirrors of each other. And it doesn't mean that, like, we're, you know, morally degraded or we want to see the end of the United States. Like, we have different value systems, but like we're engaging with an enemy that obviously we can't beat, you know, like we can't do away with the left. You can't kill them. You can't, you know, there's no recourse to like total victory or something. You know, you have to figure out how to engage with it. And in some way it's like a complete brain, right? Like all of our things contribute to what America is. And so, you know, like when we call ourselves patriots or whatever, that is a loaded statement. You know, you're like, that means you defend all the commies' rights to fucking try and undermine everything you stand for, you know. Like, that's like, if you believe in, you know, every man's pursuit of their own happiness and all this stuff, like you've got to support even your enemies' pursuit of their dreams, their destiny, what they think that they're here to do. So that's like our greatest strength, and it's also our greatest weakness. It's the thing that'll, you know, if this thing comes down, it's going to be that we give people too much space to voice their, you know, their grievances and stuff. I mean, because some people's like grievances fucking suck.
I just feel like I'm like we're all Neo in the Matrix, and we're going against a bunch of Agent Smiths in a system that's huge. I mean, at this point, they're just rigging elections and stealing. Like, if you have, anytime you have half the country that thinks that an election is stolen, and then you label them domestic terrorists, that this problem isn't solved. It's not a time for healing.
That's why they're scared. That's why they're scared, because they it's kind of like, well, oh, the jig's up here.
Yeah.
And they know, yeah, they got away with it, but they didn't get away with it.
They didn't truly get away with it with
mentally.
us. Yeah.
Yes. They didn't get away with it mentally.
They won the physical war, but not the mental one.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So that's a huge point, right? Like, trying to demonstrate that the election was stolen to somebody who is like beyond it. Like, most of these dudes are like, yeah, we fucking stole it. Guarantee when they're with their friends, they're like, you know, maybe not explicitly, but it's always kind of under the surface. Like, what if we did steal it? You know, that type of thing, right? There's that little bit of doubt, that inkling, that feeling in their stomach that they know, you know, something fishy's going on. Well, there's that, and then you have people who are outright like, yeah, dude, we fucking robbed you, you know, like, deal with it. And then you have other people that are like, no, we played totally by the rules, and you're like, not at all, not fucking at all. And so we're spending all this time trying to like enlighten folks and red pill them to the fact that this thing happened. And really, it doesn't matter. Like, we've already put all this shit out there, and like, people have made up their mind and they don't give a fuck. You know, so if you're demonstrating that the election was stolen to somebody who knows they stole it and they're proud of it, they don't care. If you're demonstrating that the election was stolen to somebody who's like toying with it, it kind of like plays to their fantasy.
They're just turning a blind eye is what they're doing at that point.
Well, some of them are looking right at it, literally. Like there are people out there who are just like, yeah, that's fucking what happened. Like, I don't know why you keep beating this dead horse. We understand that we stole it. We fucking stole it. We enjoy that. Duh, that's why we did it. Your guy wasn't fucking ballsy enough to do it. Get with the fucking program. We're already onto this other shit. So you have to keep that in mind too. Like we're beyond the point of like, you know, providing receipts and all this shit. At this point, it's like, you know, responding to what the reality of the situation is. They know they stole it deep down, whether they admit it or not. They know they stole it. Some of the people, the best people on the left are the ones who genuinely believe that it wasn't stolen. Those are the people that you actually are. They're the hardest to get through, but they're actually the best people. You know, they're actually the most morally upright. Just like, I can't emphasize enough how important it is to be present and be in the moment, and to like at this point, you know, if anything is going to happen, it's totally outside of our control. It's totally on military, and that's what it is. Whoever has the monopoly on violence is going to win. What we can do, we already did our part. We did the best we could. So all that is left up to us right now is we need to pay attention to how the rules are changing. What are we allowed to say no to? You know, what are the things that we're allowed to refuse? And then if we're going to refuse those things, are we willing to draw that line and say absolutely not? And is there recourse, you know, if we need an alternative? That's the serious, like
yeah, you're right. And I think the one good thing that came out of the whole Capitol thing was that it finally showed that, yeah, we're not going to take this. Like, we're not going to take this. And even if they didn't storm the Capitol, even if you just saw say that didn't happen, you just saw the crowds there, and you saw the amount of people there, that is a statement. And I kind of liked seeing all those people like squirm under their desks, like uncomfortably, I'm not going to lie. And I don't know, like, here's what I was going to ask you. Like, what do we do if half the country doesn't believe that elections are legit? Like, what's the card we play there?
I'll tell you the most likely situation. Most people are going to gravitate towards comfort and security, as opposed to taking something by force, right? So there's options to start lawsuits and all kinds of stuff. And there are, you know, a brand new 300 and some odd judges that Trump appointed, and some of them are loyalists and some of them are not, you know. So there are going to be wins in certain places. It's a community level, a county level, a state level. That's where all of the focus needs to be at this point. Like, the presidency is gone until you get folks winning at the state level and who are committed to liberty, not necessarily Trump. Like, that's another thing we have to be open to, is there are going to be people that show up that are going to be like, no, I didn't support Trump, I never will, you know, but I'm devoted to this thing. So that's why I advocate remaining in the present, looking at what's being said. There are good people who don't support Trump for whatever moral reasons or religious reasons or whatever, that have the values that we want. And so we have to keep our eyes open to that. But it's going to start, it is a reset, right? It's going to start from your local level up to the state. And we need to be sending people to Washington who are fucking like weapons, you know?
Yeah, enough of this like conservative, this rhino stuff. And it's interesting, the young kids, the Zoomer movement, who I've been like studying, I could probably like make a documentary on it because of these, you know, I just follow it because it's interesting. They're super, like, I don't want to say radicalized, but they're not traditional conservatives. They're very America first, anti-Israel, not anti-Semitic. Just, why are we sending $500 billion to Israel every single year? And why do they have so many positions of influence in our government? And they're just asking valid questions, you know, and that's like the future of our movement, dude. Like Nick Fuentes, I don't know if you know who he is. But like those, do you know how many America First signs I saw out there? You know, these young kids, and it's like good to see, but they have a different ideology, and it just seems like the radicalization on both sides is coming to at least like right now it was coming to a head. And now that Trump is gone, I don't know if that's going to, you know, things are going to go back to normal or things are just going to get further divided. But if they keep pushing us and they keep making us feel like domestic terrorists, things are just going to get worse. And you know what? That kind of benefits them, because if they have the control of the Senate, the House, the military, everything, they can kind of do whatever the fuck they want.
So that is true. And it's true from like a strict law sense. So this is kind of like getting back to God, like the organic spirit, the creativity that we're endowed with, right? Being present, being in the moment is going to be the most effective thing. Like art, creative approaches like the Noosphere Podcast, like media exposing things, comedy. We now have the opportunity to become one of the greatest creative forces that has ever come about, and they can't take that away. Ultimately, when we're trying to define ourselves again from the communist Chinese, and we're trying to have a national identity, you know, oh well, we're still important in the new world order and all this stuff. Like there are things that are worth preserving that not even evil people can get rid of, right? So we need to be thinking like 5, 10, 15, 20 years out. Like, what are the seeds that we're going to plant? How are we training, training? Yeah, it is training. When you're disciplining your children, what are you teaching to them? What are the values that you're instilling in them? How innovative can we be within the reality of what the world is presenting us with? And thinking like that, like no more, you know, American dream, all this shit is fucking gone.
Yeah.
The American dream now is like what the government is still kind of stringing us along with. Like, oh, you know, all your shit will be taken care of, and you get your doses of soma and your monthly stipend, and you'll still have football, and
Yeah.
But things are different now, and that's okay. And we need unity and healing, and all this is all just prescribed bullshit, and it's all coming way after the creativity of the culture happened. This is like a result, like they're just finally catching up to the 60s message, you know? Seriously, they're so fucking old and slow, and they don't know what's going on.
You hit the nail on the head, bro. Like I loved sports my whole life, and this now I played my whole life. This is just like I can't even watch it anymore. Like this is just ridiculous, and it's past the point of the American dream, like you said. And at this point, I'm just going to make creative content, and just like this is a clown world, whatever. More material for me. This is all fucking material for me. And people are like, AJ, you're totally unrealistic for making a podcast. Oh, really? It's been a month, and I've been on Sam Tripoli. I have Mark Titus coming up, and Tim Dillon's like retweeting my stuff and like making memes out of my pictures. Like, there's so much fucking material out there. I don't even know what I'm doing. I have a great producer in Steve, thank the fucking Lord. But like there, you know, it's like this is a clown world, and I can't help but see. I can't see anything else, Sean. I can't like go out in public in these mass. I don't know. Maybe I'm wired different. Maybe I had to go through some stuff to like see this. And normal people that like, you know, just go through life like at a steady climb, like don't see this stuff. And I think that's a valid theory. Like I have very intelligent family members who just have never really stumbled in life that don't have to question anything. Well, I have, and I had to question everything, and nothing is what it seems. Nothing. And like, I love being around like-minded people, and thank you for making this group, because I was introduced to some great people. WAZ, who was just on, fucking amazing. Like him and I have been talking every day. Like he's the man, you know, like I love meeting people like this and who just see that this is a fucking clown world. This is all nuts. This is all nuts. So you know what? If Steve and I are content creating, I have material everywhere.
Absolutely. Dude, you should do a bit, like an anti-mask bit. Actually, not even like an anti-mask bit, but like taking Steve with you and walking into places with your microphone and no mask and just seeing and just catching people's reaction.
Dude, that's what people do on like Baked Alaska. Like that's what people do. And you know what? Dude, yeah, oh yeah, it's content gold mine. I'll do it. I don't give a fuck. I'll do it.
Yeah, man. I mean, it like having that as like one of your spokes, man. Like just you'll meet some of the most amazing people. We went into a liquor store when I was in Southern California over the holidays. Like I was sitting outside with my sister and I'm like, shit, I forgot my mask. And she's like, no, I just saw some dude come out of there without a mask. Like, let's just go in. So we went in without our masks. And then, you know, the shop owner was sitting there. He didn't have a mask. And I walked down the aisle, just kind of like, whatever. I stopped and I turned around. I'm like, oh, you don't enforce masks here? He's like, oh no, man. He's like, we don't abide by any of that shit. Just local county level, you know, Orange County, you know, they suggest it, quote unquote, but they leave it up to the businesses and make the decisions. And I was like, damn, dude, I'm going to shop here from now on. Every time I come to California, I'm going to come here to get beer or you know, whatever. Like that's how you're going to find your network of people, and you'll have a bunch of comedy, and like people are going to fucking lose their minds, dude. And you're going to be pushing those buttons and that's what it's all about, dude. So in this video I made the other day in the Vision Tower, did you see the woman that was up on the scaffolding, like being carried down by the, you know, 6 or 7 cops? She's wearing like thigh high, like red boots, like, you know, Wonder Woman or some shit. It was a fucking atrocious, pathetic sight. And like, you don't want to be like that, you know?
No, you can't be too serious, dude.
Yeah. Like what was her plan, dude? Like, you know, I could see if she had some big strategy, and then all the, you know, troops.
Well, dude, like people were like giving me shit. Like a lot of people when Tim Dillon retweeted that thought I was like trying to troll that lady. But I'm like, there's a lot of content on both sides. Like I can't be funny and co-sign everything she says. And like, I honestly want to start like going into stores and places without a mask and like telling people to put on a mask. And just like that's like I've been getting feedback saying like I should do like comedy politics, kind of like, you know, just like kind of, that's what I feel like our best content is, honestly, is when like
and push the boundaries, bro. Like remember, dude, you're passing through the world, dude. Like I don't want to be sending you out fucking throwing, you know, Molotov cocktails at anybody, because I'm not going to do it myself. So don't get me wrong. But I would do shit like that, and I do shit like that. I just don't ever catch it on film. I'm constantly pushing the boundaries, like what is acceptable. Oh, that was too far. You know, oh, okay. Oh, I got away with that one. You know, like it's very messy, but don't be afraid to, like, you know, I mean, you're gonna make sacrifices, dude.
That's exactly what it is. And it's sacrifices like in the social circle. Like I have a lot of people that are just like, oh my God, like AJ is fucking crazy now. And then I also have people like, you know, like that are liberals that send me messages like, keep doing what you're doing. Like, oh, am I crazy now? Like, no, I'm like sober. I'm doing like all the stuff that like you know, I just think this is fucking ridiculous. And sorry, I'm making it like funny at the same time, you know? And just so happens that when I make it funny, I get noticed by people that are like my fucking idols, that like I would, this summer when I was painting houses, like I'd only dream to be on their podcast, and now it's fucking happening. So whatever, dude. I really gotta like just fully send it. I don't care anymore. I don't.
Like, you're good. I mean, now's the time, right? Like, you know, it just is like they've kind of forced our hand, and so here we are. You know, I don't know. I caught a 3-day ban, you know, from the 6th, and I know you're off Facebook for a bit, and obviously Steven just came back, and like, but that was a good time because I had said a series of things on the 6th, and I couldn't respond to anybody, and I was just like, at first I was like stewing in my shit because I just want, you know, but then it was good. I like detached for a minute, caught my breath, and then I really was able to take all this stuff in, and not just, you know, you just hit the ground running. Like what, dude? Like this is. My wife got banned from Twitter, dude. I think you might have seen it.
I saw that.
She had like 200 followers on Twitter. Hasn't been there in like months. And she opens it up the other night, and she's like, "What the fuck?"
What'd she even do?
Like, nothing.
Of course.
She has her MAGA hat on in the photo, and I think she has.
Oh my God, that's what did it.
WW1 WGA, right? So she had that little Q insignia. That was her description there.
I heard the descriptions because like I know a lot of like I'm following these Zoomers who are like the most right wing you could ever get, and they are just like putting their pronouns in their description now. You know? Yeah, dude.
Dude. So being again in the captain's chair of the resistance is an honorable place to be. And I mean, like, we're all the heroes of our own story. I don't mean I'm in the captain's chair of anything but my own life, but that's where we're at now. We have the opportunity to kind of return to those roots, like, and you know, this is the empire striking back. You know, that's what it is. And so
legit.
And honestly, it's kind of cringy to have a fucking leader up there that, like, you know, you don't really know. His past is just fucking checkered, and
it kind of is cringy, dude. It kind of is, because like I can't defend that. I can't, and like that's like the hardest thing to defend. Is like, oh, like the reality host who's like telling, you know, a nuclear armed country that his button is bigger and stronger than the other guys. It's like, but it's kind of sick at the same time, dude. I don't know, man. I don't know.
No, I totally agree. I'm totally with you. I've been there, and it's funny the ways that, you know, you're required to adapt, like, and you abandon your morals. And
Sean, if you don't like make this funny, and you haven't like detached already, you're done. You're gonna get blackpilled. You're done.
Let me tell you this, dude. We gave everything we had. We can pat ourselves on the back. We can be proud of it. We did it. We did as much as we possibly could. And then now, like, it's like big deal.
I know. But bro, dude, I gotta tell you, when I went to DC, like, first of all, that's a fucking satanic city. Everything is mapped out in like 33-degree angles if you look at it. And the energy there, and I'm telling you, and some people will be like, AJ, like, you feel the energy in the city? Yeah, I do. And other people do too. And WAZ did too. And we both got back. We felt fucking super depressed, and we had like nightmares. And he was like, dude, I had nightmares last night. I'm like, yeah, so did I. The FBI came in my house and fucking scooped me up. Like, that energy, I just got to shed it. And like, there's some dark shit, but at the end of the day, like, the most effective people are the funny ones, you know?
Be sure to take your iPhone, and every now and then when it occurs to you, just like, you know, give them a middle finger, dude. Like staying aware of the fact that you can't escape. There's no amount of force or violence or depravity that will ever outweigh the things that this system is responsible for. You'll never be that fucking depraved, right? And so the best way, like, I'm thinking of it like this: how do you get a psychopath to squirm in his bed and lose sleep over you without being able to do anything? You know, so how do you get him to be bound to his own set of rules while still losing sleep over the fact that you exist? And I think that's an honorable position to be in.
You bully him online.
Something like that, right? Like that's the creativity. That's where that comes in. You're dealing with a whole fucking army of just weirdos. And so how do you point that out? How do you make that so evident that they're fucking ultra weird? They're the weirdos. They're the weirdos. They're the minority. They're the weirdos. And we all see them. We all see how fucking weird they are. And they love their, like, just nasty little fucking holes that they're in. And how do we point that out in a generous way that is also incapable of being refuted or shut down? And that's where we're at.
It's basically memes. It's basically memes, bro.
Memes are the start of it. Now so memes are the smallest unit of information. It's like a gene, obviously, right? So now taking those genes, those memes, and turning those things into stories, like expounding upon the best of them. And we have movies ahead of us. We have a new fucking Hollywood on the horizon somewhere that will be developed. You're going to be pushing the boundaries of the church, because the church is going to be like, dude, I would take this fucking weirdo, you know, this like sinner over here, and put him on my label any day, because he's like going up against ultimate evil over here, right? Like the amount of room that we have to operate in is really, really vast. It's an uncharted territory, dude.
So let me just ask you like a serious question. And this is like something I worry about, and just from like my creative ability of what we have. What about censorship though? Like what if what is there do you think there's always going to be another platform we go to, or do you think it's extremely harmful to just like knock off my follower list every time it builds? Like our follower list was building up on Twitter, and then one day a couple days ago we lost like half our fucking followers.
Yeah, so the impact of that thing is like, man, fuck these guys, and that's why these alt tech sites show up. So you should be putting your shit on Rumble, but Rumble could go down, so you should also be putting it on BitChute, but BitChute could go down, so you should also be putting it on Odyssey, but Odyssey could go down, so you should also be going on DLive, and so spreading yourself out. And I know there are hubs where you can have URLs put in that will just handle all this shit. You just upload it once and it just disperses it, right? So finding out what is available to us and tapping into what we have access to presently, and just spreading it all over. You should also be looking at blockchain. Hive and Peaked.com, getting on monetized social media that's on the blockchain. That is critical and crucial. But you don't only want to be there. You want to be on these alt tech sites also, right? Like, so that's the answer to that question. What do you do about censorship? You go where there's no censorship. You go to the places that are fucking, Wild West.
I just think it's fucking crazy that we're even talking like this. It's the reality though. It's the reality, but like, it's just so crazy. I feel like we're in the Taliban. It's like we need to go here and like go on blockchain and like go on all these different things. That's the reality. Yes, that's what needs to happen. But it's just, I haven't fully grasped it yet.
No. See, America was gone a long time ago. We need to get our heads around that, right? Trump gave us the hope that we could restore it. It didn't happen. America was already gone.
Yeah.
Like the spirit of the Patriots and Americana itself, right? The spirit of America is in the blockchain. It is in alt tech. It is in developing new colonies. We're not the fucking empire, right? That we don't want to be the empire. We don't want to be associated with that. They're gross. They're fucking gross, and they're weirdos, and they gotta fucking take everything and constantly never satisfied, and they gotta fucking ruin people and shut people down. We don't want to be that. We don't want to take it over. We don't want anything to do with it. Let them be. It's the CCP. It's the fucking New World Order. It's the Royalists. It's
Satanists, dude.
Yeah. Let them do their thing. We don't need to be in their business. What we need to do is have our own shit and pump that up. That's where our strength is. Fuck them. America is the blockchain. America is alt tech. America's not Washington, D.C. That's where Joe Biden fucking lives.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like
It's what we have to do, bro. It's what we have to do. It's the reality of the situation. It just every once in a while I just look back and I really feel like we are like the fucking Taliban, like hiding in fucking caves on the internet. Like that's really what it is. And they're playing whack-a-mole.
That's what they're trying to make us feel like, dude. But like they're the weirdos.
Dude, they are the weirdest of the weirdos. And have you seen like these like fucking reports that are coming out? Like that DOJ is saying like the biggest threat now is like white extremism. And it's just like, oh well, buckle up, because it's gonna be a fucking ride. I guarantee you we're on a list already. I guarantee it.
What we need to figure out is how do we interface with the system, because the system is here. It's not going anywhere. We need to figure out how to interface with the system. I'm using a MacBook Pro to record this. My iPhone is sitting here. If they wanted to figure out what we were talking about, they would just sit down on it. None of that matters. What they need to know is that there are this many people doing it. See, the fact that they even figured to dupe us or steal some shit from us in the first place is life affirming, right? Like it tells you how powerful you are in the way that they choose to shut you down and overpower you with just abusing the privilege that they have as a monopoly. government has a monopoly on violence. Tech companies have the monopoly on information. The fact that they need to fucking shut you down is the absolute signal that you are worthy and valuable. So fuck them.
Yep. And I think history will remember Trump, and I think history will remember us well.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I think, man.
You know, and they might try to fucking off you, and they're going to do some weird sick shit, you know, and we're going to have to figure out how to get our heads around that. But like the best thing we should be doing right now is looking at how quickly we can adapt, how fast we can move, how much content we can produce, how creative we can be, because they think that we're fucking knuckle draggers. That's their general opinion. And the longer that they think that, the harder they're going to get hit with what's coming next.
Yeah. Yeah, then this new war, like being in media is like being on the front line. And fucking call me Rambo, because I'll go down with this shit, dude. I'm going against the Predator. I don't care.
I mean, you know, you don't want to like just, the thing is you don't want to compromise like your children, and you don't want to like lead anybody. Yeah, you don't want to lead anybody else to their own doom, right? You don't want that kind of karma. You don't want that sin, but you do have to draw your own lines, and you have to know what you're capable of. So there's going to be like a lot of like solo missions, right? And people that you really trust, who you're on the same page with, and you're going to go and you're going to do these things, and ultimately it's going to result in so we're not beyond the physical war, but most of this is happening on a psychological level. Most of it is information. So if you can be the most effective, like in the future, the information war is going to be as crazy as World War II was. Like, you know, like, damn, dude, they could have taken your mind from you, dude.
Yeah. Legit. And like Steve and I are here, and I'm very blessed. Like, this is a beautiful place. We don't know how long we're going to be here, but right now we have all the equipment, everything that we need. And like, I was working, and I was just like, this is my fucking chance to do this. And I've always wanted to do this. And Steve has all this equipment. He just needed a dude on camera, and we're just kind of like doing it. And at this point, we're fully committed. Like, you know, half of my family thinks I should be committed because I'm doing this. So it's whatever. I'm doing it.
Let's say that this absolutely, I mean, you know, cheers. Let's say that censorship goes as far as it's going to go, and they shut down everything, right? First of all, what's going to happen there is now they've stomped out the people that hold them up on their pedestal. So they're going to have a really hard time doing that. No matter what this new world, you know, brave new world looks like, there will be a dialectic between the plebes and the elites, right? They're going to have to acknowledge that their power is derived from average man. So they're going to give us, or the general population, they're going to give the masses enough that to make them happy or content, at least, right? Mm-hmm. So that's their compromise. Like, shit, okay, we'll pay you enough to at least fucking live. We're not getting that right now. They've taken our means to, you know, to capitalize on new ideas and stuff. They've ruined small business as it exists or has existed. So the next step is, if they want to remain in power, there's not going to be anybody to lord over, because you can't just piss off everybody, right? Like, they're at the top of the pyramid. You have to have the base. You know, you need the base. You can't just ruin everything below you, you know, with the weight of the capstone. You know, there's a feedback loop. It's a relationship, and they know that, you know, and so we have that to bank on. No matter how this goes down, it's going to be gradual, and they're going to give us enough to sustain the average person. Now, we don't necessarily want to be a part of the pyramid, but we're going to have to interface with the pyramid. What we want to do is we want to go and be fucking wild. We want the jungle. We want dangerous freedom. We want those moments where you meet a fucking snake or a jaguar in the forest, and you have the opportunity to be eaten or fucking bless each other. You know, you want that you want that uncertainty and that chaos. I don't want it to be planned by a bunch of fucking diddlers, you know?
Yeah, no. I think you made a great point where you said, like, the system is what it is. We just need to learn how to interface with it now, and it's going to be an ever adapting situation, you know? It has been since 2016. It's changed. Our tactics have changed.
It's not just a bunch of idiots fucking telling everybody how it's going to do, go down, right? Like there will be, they know what the expectation of, the lower classes are at this point, which is like, dude, you can't take everything from me, or you're going to have to kill me because I'm going to be so fucking freaked out and I'm going to try to take somebody. I will become the terrorist, right? Like they've set that situation up. Not me. I'm beyond that shit, but
No,
that's
right.
that's the situation that they've set up, right? They're like, you're the terrorist, and so they're already setting the mind around like, this is what a terrorist looks like, because they know that that's who they're stealing from, right? They already know that that's who they're going to take everything from, so they've been like priming and greasing the skids for that thing. Now, how many of those people are they willing to take off the planet? I don't know. It could be a lot. You don't want to be one of those people, is the point, right? You don't want to be in that conversation. What you want to be doing is looking at, how am I going to provide value for the people around me? What do I do that is substantial, that brings not only a reward from the way that the system is, but what am I doing to create actually, so the system is stagnant. That's just a hierarchy of dominance and power, right? And they're going to continue to keep that. That's all they want. They don't want you creating competition for them, but you're going to naturally create competition for them because that's our nature, right? So doing that in a sophisticated and classy way is basically what we're looking at now.
Yeah.
How do we do that in a way that they can't stop? And then they're forced to be like, man, I really want to buy that thing from you. No, you don't. You're forced to buy that thing from me because it's indispensable. And you can't be a fucking stiff with no art in your house, can you, you fucking dickhead? You sick dickhead.
Yeah. and all like the people in like the trades that are conservative, And if I'm like the comedian online, that gets sacrificed, I'm okay with that. And I just have seen the push further and further that I don't even worry at this point. I've been through so much in my life, Sean, that like, if this is how I go, fine. I'll go right to heaven, bro. I'll go right to heaven because I know I'm doing God's work. I am on God's side. These people are fucking weird diddlers. They're disgusting. I don't even know if half of them are fucking human, to be honest with you.
Seriously. And that's okay, dude. Because they might be. Reality is so fucking strange. And anybody who has any kind of experience with psychedelics, it's not beyond them. The whole visionary community, they're like, oh yeah, this like, what do they call it? I don't know. They have some fucking stupid word for it. They're so just.
I've never been part of that life, but Steve explains it to me.
Fucking
there
lame.
just seems there's so many predators like in that movement.
Well, there is that, but then there's also this like hierarchy of like gurus and and submissive. Like, I'm learning about the psychedelics, and then these people teach you about the psychedelics, and then there's the shaman that's up here and all this stuff, and like. It's stupid.
It's so
and that's
corny,
why,
dude.
Well, that's why I have been canceled out of that repeatedly, is because I'm like, nah, dude, it's like, I don't respect it. It's just I see it for what it is, and the psychedelic should be an enlightening experience to be able to understand the mechanics of the world and the cosmos and your place in it and all this stuff. And then you watch, you come back, you have this transpersonal journey, you come back and you're like, oh my God, what do I do with this? And then you have some dude that's like, this is what it is. You saw the thing, and they walk you, they walk you through the fucking, culty perspective, the way that you're supposed to see things. And then you have the Democrats who get it, who are all old hippies, right? The hippies became the yuppies. And the Democrats are there, like interfacing with that hierarchy of in the psychedelic visionary community. And so now the Democrats have caught on to that, and they're capitalizing upon that thing, dude. Right? So that's how that propaganda system, that hierarchy works there, which is why you see so many of these people, like they're just absolutely at odds with QAnon. They're absolutely at odds with Trump. They're absolutely aligned with the Democratic Party. Same thing with Antifa, right? There's a language that the establishment knows how to speak to capitalize. It's political capital, and it's a war, and they have used their assets and their resources, which are people.
Yeah. All right, brother. I gotta go. Great talk tonight, Sean. Thank you so much, man. It was great. I feel better already. Sometimes it's just good just to like kind of laugh, talk about this stuff. Waz texted me. He said he had a great time. So let's do this again, brother. It's always good to talk to you, man.
Yeah, it's a bright future, man. No matter what, like you got to extract the diamonds from coal mine, man.
Yep, absolutely, brother. Well, thank you very much for coming on, man. Have a great night. Thank you, Sean.